Today, we're going to talk about one of my favorite storylines of the week, and that's Nate Diaz publicly beefing with Brendan Schaub. Is this one of the most entertaining things I've seen Schaub do in a while? Definitely. Was Brendan's clapback all killer, no filler? Meh, but still pretty solid though. Let's get into it. But before we do that, I'd like to thank the executive producer of this episode, Stoned Ape Canico. Without their help, I'd probably be going to the bank, getting a whole bunch of old pennies back in the day when they were still made of copper, and then just start smelting down pennies. Today, they're made out of some zinc alloy that's just plated in copper. But back in the day, it used to be made entirely out of copper. And if you melted it down, the amount of copper they used was worth more than a penny. It's kind of an infinite money glitch. But thanks to Stoned Ape Canico, I don't need to be hunting old pennies and smelting them down in some sort of never-stopping penny smelting scheme. And if you'd like to become a Big Baller supporter of the show, you can go ahead and click the Patreon link in the description below. Welcome to Catching You Up with
Nadav. It's go bits.
Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. It all helps the algorithm. So this all started on October 14th when Brendan Schaub, who is a former UFC heavyweight and current podcaster and comedian, made a post on his Instagram where he talked about Shane Carwin, who's a previous UFC champion, talking about his struggles with CTE. With Shane's struggles with CTE.
Despite having a degree in engineering from Colorado School of Mines, I've been unable to maintain adequate focus to hold down my engineering job. I face serious challenging, meaning basic.
Damn.
Former world champ. I face serious challenges in meeting basic everyday expenses for food, shelter.
Honestly, I find it hard to hate on that. But Nate Diaz finds a way. 4 days later, on October 18th, Nate Diaz just tweets out without tagging him, Brendan the big old pussy Schaub. That's not his middle name. As a big Diaz fan, I was like, oh, Nate, don't do that. But, you know, Nate's gonna Nate. Now, Nate clearly doesn't like Brendan Schaub, but why? He might be holding a grudge because back in 2017, Showtime hired Brendan Schaub to commentate and promote the Conor McGregor Floyd Mayweather fight. And Brendan's job, as Brendan says it, was to give people the hope that Conor McGregor had a chance. And to Nate, anyone that compliments or advocates for Conor McGregor is just in his crosshairs. And that's kind of why you love Nate Diaz.
Fuck The Rock too, man. That motherfucker over here playing me. See him over here smiling with Masvidal? He could get it too.
What exactly did you mean by that?
Nigga, he's on that side. Fuck him. I'm on here her on The Rock, huh? You guys caught me under a bad time, but you know what I'm saying? The Rock's cool. I like ballers.
I mean, listen to Shane Gillis talk about what it's like to hang out with Nate Diaz.
And then we walked outside and he front kicked a stranger. He got in a fight with a stranger immediately.
Wait, I thought you were kidding.
No. So Nate's like, everybody that comes up, he's like, let's get a picture. Yeah, fuck you. Like all that. And then one dude walked up that was like jacked. And Nate Diaz just immediately was like, yo, you want to run up on us?
He's just doing that to strangers. He's doing this on camera, off camera. He doesn't care. But that gives you a little background on the Diaz brothers. So flash forward back to today. After Nate Diaz called Brendan a big old pussy. And Brendan responds to Nate a few hours later saying, oh, buddy, I prob got 20 pounds on you, so not too far off. I'll snap your neck. Set up a grappling match and let me know how it goes for you. Have one of your handlers read this tweet and get back to me. Those are fighting words, dude. Then on Monday, October 21st, Brendan posts an episode where the title is just him calling out Nate. It's called Schaub to Nate Diaz, You Ain't Gonna Do Shit, where he just kind of rants for the first 20 minutes talking about the situation. There were some solid talking points.
I've never had issues with the guy. Here's how I feel about it. This is just internet gossip, right? This gets him trending. He doesn't have a lot going on. Didn't get paid for the Masvidal fight. Probably doesn't know what he's going to do next. Conor, he's probably waiting on that. Conor's tied up with the TV right deal, so he's probably banking on that. Lost to Jake Paul, right? That's a big blow to his ego. So I guess he needs to do this to stay current. I retired 15 years ago, man.
I'm watching the first couple minutes of this rant, and I'm like, oh, fuck, these guys really don't like each other.
I will fuck you up. End of the day, if you walked in right now, I said, Chin, Case, can you guys leave? Only one of us is gonna walk out unscathed, and it's me. I will snap his fucking neck.
This would actually be a pretty solid fight.
The way this works, at the end of the day, I will twist your fucking neck off.
If this rant doesn't make you excited to see these two potentially fight, I don't know what will.
There's many of guys that you fucks with, that I've rolled with. Ask them how it went. Very close guys to you. Ask them how it went, bud. That's real.
Now, I've seen a commentary channel or two already covered this topic, but the things they chose to talk about is just like, dude, this isn't what's exciting about it. Like, I know it's hip to hate on Brendan Schaub, but when you see Brendan and Nate Diaz starting to talk shit to each other, and the thing you choose to talk about is, look at how he fumbles his words against someone with a speech impediment. You're really bearing the lead here. Brendan fighting Nate Diaz would be nuts. That's the fucking story here. That's what I'm excited about. The reason why everyone liked Conor McGregor so much is because he was great at talking shit and he really sold you a fight. He really made you believe that they really don't like each other. And when you find two people that really don't like each other, genuinely don't like each other, and they want to fight, homie, that's the show. That's the show, dude. Some of these channels like to pinpoint how bad of a fighter Brendan was. And if that's the case, why don't you say something like, oi, fellas, Brendan's gonna get his teeth kicked in, isn't it? But unless you don't think Nate Diaz is gonna win, you would choose different things to shit on Brendan for that have nothing to do with the fight. Like if you actually disliked Brendan and you thought Nate Diaz was gonna beat the shit out of him, you'd be like, oh, Brendan, you will rue the day where you blah, blah, blah. But yeah, picking certain things to make fun of Schaub, like about this interaction, I don't know. I think it's just lame. It's just cringe stacked on top of cringe. Listen to this.
I don't give a fuck you're from Sacramento. That's your biggest thing? That's it? That's the narrative? What are you gonna do, Nate? What are you gonna do? Volume punch me, motherfucker?
And like, sure, am I gonna tell you that this was a cringe-free 20-minute rant? Nah, there were a couple of, subpar moments, but for the most part, I just got more and more excited to see how this beef is gonna unfold. So October 21st, Brendan drops this video, and Nate Diaz just responds with, I think you'd be surprised. Now, that's funny on multiple levels.
If you had a wrestling match with Cain Velasquez, how well do you think you'd do?
Straight up wrestling?
Yeah.
I think people would be surprised.
Really? You think so?
Mm-hmm.
I think you'd be surprised. I really do. I think he'd fuck you up.
Honestly, crazy that Joe did that to Brendan on mic, but also it's like, what are you gonna do, man? It's the way that the conversation just naturally unfolded. But I mean, think about this, right? You blast off for 20 minutes talking about how you'll beat the shit out of someone. For 20 minutes you're doing it. Then Nate Diaz just responds with 6 words that are all armor piercing. Like it's, imagine you're beefing with a good friend of yours and you're typing out an essay and they just respond back with K, with 2 Ks. Just disrespectful. I mean, the only times I've been this excited about people publicly beefing was either when Dave Portnoy was beefing with Business Insider or when Louis J. Gomez is at the airport and starts responding to haters' tweets and just goes back and forth with them because he's bored. Honestly, Louis J. Gomez is a great follow on Twitter. I highly recommend it. But what I'm trying to say is that this beef is entertaining as fuck. And it's not because I want to see one of these guys go down. Who cares that the finish line is going to be that they're not going to fight? It's the journey to seeing this either escalate or de-escalate is a fun ride. One of the top journalists in MMA, Ariel Helwani, covered this in the show this week.
I saw someone say to me, book Brendan Schaub versus Nate Diaz at the next one. Honestly, Brendan Schaub was very emotional talking about this. And I personally thought that there was nothing wrong about it. He was talking about a friend. It seemed extremely sincere. And
he's even being a good sport about it, considering how hard they've butted heads in the past.
I think this could do massive numbers. Like if I'm Craig Jones, if I'm Polaris, if I'm the Fight Pass Invitational, if I'm Abu Dhabi, I'm trying to make this happen, right? I mean, could you imagine the buildup?
Again this morning, and I text you about this too, I was inundated with people saying, wow, Schaub's really bodied him here. And I'm like, this is the most amount of dubs, even just by some people's perspective, of seeing Schaub get in a very long time.
He said this on his Fox show about Brendan a few years ago.
Now let's talk about you. College football, how'd that go? How'd NFL go? How did fighting go? How did comedy go? How did podcasting go? How did TV go? Did you achieve your goals? Did you realize your dreams? Did you make it to the top? F Brendan Schaub. F the fighter and the kid. F below the belt. F that whole crew.
And even with that, he is turning into a big facilitator of this because it's gonna be good show. Why not have your name attached to it and also throw some underhanded jabs that no one could really do anything about? He's still low-key trashing Brendan. Like, take a look at some of this stuff.
And I don't know if it's apples to apples here, but worth noting 1.1 on IMDb for Gringo Papi. I didn't put that in there. That was on Air Jordan. That had nothing to do with me. I want no smoke here, okay? I just want the world to know. I'm just an innocent bystander just trying to, you know, call this down the middle.
So I think if Ariel could get excited for this, everyone can. I can. You can. We all can. I want to see this fight. I'm going to bet the house on Brendan and then probably maintain my record of losing every bet I've ever made on the UFC. But with that, this has been a fun week and a fun episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Lord knows I'm enjoying this ride. And I'd also like to thank everyone that you're seeing on screen right now. Without their help, it would be hard to put out this show as regularly and consistently as I do. And if you'd like to be a supporter of the show, you can go ahead and click the Patreon link in the description below. Who do you think would win in a fight between Brendan Schaub and Nate Diaz? I think Brendan would win. Let me know in the comments below. But until then,
This is a totally unconfirmed news.
and I'll see you next week.